what, Jeannie?
Chicken butt. That's my favorite response to guess what? I'm such a child.
Although chicken butts are kind of cute.
They are. Weird, they are.
Weird.
Apparently you can hold the chicken butt in a certain way, and if it folds, they're a lady, and if it stays erect, it's a dude.
I just think chicken butts are cute.
They are. Chickens are cute.
And they'll poop on you, but that's a whole different story. But the website talkdeadlytome.com is a thing.
It's alive.
It's my creation. Is it real? Yes.
This is my creation. But something,
from my heart and from my hands, why do people understand my creation? It was a very weird science sort of thing, and I had to fight with a lot of different machines. But it was done. And soon, our very first blog will be shared with the masses. Jeannie, you're working on...
Ezra McCandless, soon to be followed by Nancy Brophy.
So we have got some killer content. Ha ha ha. No pun.
Absolutely pun intended. Don't distance yourself from that. We're middle-aged women. We make puns. That was a good one. Killer content.
We've got some killer content on the way, not just for the show, for here, which we are glad you're here, but check out talkdeadlytome.com in the next couple of days. Mm-hmm. The site is live. One of Jeannie's first blogs is going to be up, so we look forward to sharing some, more cases that maybe we don't do a deep dive on.
More contemporary cases.
Yeah.
I think y'all have noticed, we're bringing you the hits from the 60s, the 70s, and the 80s.
And today.
But, things you might have heard in the news recently. Ezra McCandless, Nancy Brophy, Karen Reed is on the horizon. The bleeding shit.
So look forward to that. I'm so glad we got it done. And in case you didn't know where you are, I am Samara.
And I am Jeannie. And you need to get your brain checked if you didn't know where you were.
True story. And this is Talk Deadly to Me. Oh, I have got a story for you.
I'm ready. What's this?
This is like one of those. This is one of those super OG
classics.
Like if you're in your 4s or 5s and you remember getting into true crime in your early tweens, this is a case that you definitely cut your teeth
Unsolved Mysteries vintage.
Maybe we're talking Forensic Files.
Ooh, when did Forensic Files start?
I want to say late 80s, early 90s.
Really?
But without further ado, we are finally talking about my favorite poisoner and yours, Blanche Taylor Moore.
Blanche.
That
is such a good poisoning lady's name.
Blanche Taylor Moore.
Blanche Devereaux would do it. Blanche Dubois would do it. They just never got around to it.
They didn't have to.
They were never pushed so far. They had to.
Blanche Devereaux proved that she could fuck for her money.
That's so true.
Murder is messy. Mm-hmm. Why go?
She was never pushed that far.
Well, she just put that thing on him and she was fine.
She had other skills.
Right. So we'll start where we always start. At the beginning with the introduction of Blanche Kaiser.
Ooh.
Blanche Kaiser was born on February 17th, 1933, in the Brown Mill area of North Carolina, which is about 80 miles south of Burlington. Not the coat factory, just Burlington, the city.
Dang. I know quite a few cities in North Carolina. Burlington is not one of them. That is obscure.
It's given us a coat factory. Yeah. That's all I know about Burlington. Yeah. Burlington Coat Factory originated from Burlington, North Carolina, and then spread itself outward. Yeah. So, Burlington.
All right.
Blanche was the 5th of the 7 children born to Reverend Parker D. Kaiser, and his wife, Flonnie.
Flonnie?
Flonnie.
That's a good Southern name.
You know how many times I had to rewind and listen to that shit and make sure I wasn't writing Lonnie and that I was really hearing Flonnie?
Yeah.
Because Flonnie doesn't sound right.
No, that is one of those weirdo, early 20th century Southern names.
It's right up there with Flivver. Like, what the
Right?
fuck is a flawney? What is a flawney? What is a flivver?
What's a vastal? I know.
Yeah.
It's like these,
It's a weird name.
It's like, what in the medieval England did this come from?
Yeah, so I did have to rewind
Yeah.
her name several times and fact check myself to make sure I was hearing flawney.
Right? It's like Chaucer named these people.
And Blanche's father, he's known as PD, the Reverend PD. Because, I forget what the D stands for, but, Parker D. Kaiser. PD was known as, back then, what they would call a primitive preacher.
Okay.
Now you would probably consider him more of a charismatic.
Okay.
He didn't go to seminary school or anything fancy to become an ordained minister.
Yeah.
But he had a good grasp of that old-time religion. Give him that old-time religion.
Oh, God.
We're talking banjos, revival tents, faith healing.
Entertainment.
Yes.
Yeah.
So he's that.
Okay.
But back in the 30s, they would have called them, he would have been considered a primitive. And the difference between a primitive and a charismatic is actually a charismatic is more likely to have had some religious training.
Okay.
I did a deep dive because it bothered me primitive just sounds mean.
It does, doesn't it?
But there is
I know.
There is a distinct difference.
Yeah.
Reverend Kaiser, like I said, he's also known as PD, would travel all over hill and dale, holding tent revivals, faith healing, setting up small community churches, that kind of thing. And as a traveling preacher, Reverend PD always made pretty good money. As he's going through the small cities and communities and stuff, he made good money traveling the North Carolina towns that dot the mountains and the mill areas.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be doing this accent on and off through this whole thing because I can't help it.
Was the book in that accent?
No, but it should have been.
Or is it my bad influence?
No, the narrator was a man, and he did not put on any airs or accents. But
it's a shame.
In my head, they all sound like this.
Yeah, it does sound Appalachian.
It is Appalachian adjacent, for sure.
Because like for Burlington to be like a city, but like I've never heard of it. It's like this must be like deep in the hills.
It is. So this is hill country, tobacco country. It is definitely Appalachian adjacent. But you got a lot of mill towns, paper mills, tobacco mills, all sorts of.
I'm sure it smelled great.
All sorts of bad runoff water.
Yeah.
Is what I'm saying. But for towns that might be closer, Durham.
Oh, okay. So yeah, this is Appalachia.
Would be like the next. If Burlington is the next biggest city to where she grew up in Browns Mill, then the next biggest city that anybody's heard of that's not related to a retail chain is Durham.
Yeah. So like Asheville, Durham.
Or Hill Point. So that kind of general area, just like it's further up in the mountains. So like I said, he made good money passing through all these little tiny towns and cities throughout the mountains. But the money that he made never went to support his family.
Oh, what did it go to?
Gambling.
Oh, no.
Drinking.
And thoughts and prayers for the family.
And women that aren't his wife.
Yeah.
Especially young women that aren't his wife.
Yeah. That's where the charisma comes in.
Yes. He's got charisma, uniqueness, nerve, and talent. And all of this left Flawney to support the family with low-paying mill jobs, where she would make about $40 a week by the 1950s.
Okay.
Goes to show what kind of... I hate calling it low-skilled labor, because it does take a certain amount of skill to do some of this mill shit.
I mean, you can fuck that up if you're a klutz.
Yeah, low wage. I'll just call it
honestly,
low wage.
Some mental fortitude.
Yeah, I'll just call it low wage.
Yeah.
I always feel every
it's
time
working class.
Every time somebody calls it low skilled work, I feel it's disrespectful.
It is. It is absolutely meant to be disrespectful.
Because it's like, no, I've worked in fast food.
Exactly.
There is a skill,
and I don't have it.
to making sure you know,
Yeah.
Those
There's a
cooks-
skill to making that food correctly and quickly, to waiting tables.
yeah.
Anything worth doing involves skill. The only no skill job I can think of is maybe modeling.
Even then, you
Yeah.
gotta be able to walk on slick
That's
surfaces and
low
big shoes.
skill. Yeah. It's like being able to walk in a straight line in funky shoes.
CEOs are low skill.
Yes. Yeah. Managers. Mm-hmm.
I'll put the low skill on the higher end of the food chain on that one.
Right? Because then it's like networking.
Yeah, that's just always bothered me every time I put low skilled labor on the news. I'm like, that
Yeah.
don't feel right.
Yeah.
Anyway, so she was doing low paying work. If
Yeah.
she was making $40 a week in the 1950s. And Flonnie was forced, probably through threat of violence, to give half of her paycheck to PD every week. He taking 20 of her little tiny $40. They have
Yeah.
7 children.
Yeah, he's a bum.
7.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
Oh,
7
no
children.
wonder he's like a preacher. He's like, I am the headship of this family. I am closest to God.
Oh, and he made no secret that the $20 a week he's stealing off of Flonnie is going to be spent on drink and
Yeah.
women that are not you.
Yeah.
I'm going to spend your money on some hot puss.
Yeah.
And Flonnie just took it.
Yeah. What? Yeah. Well, he's not beating her.
Sometimes.
Well, no one would believe it. He's a preacher. Like, how else is she going to divorce him? She's stuck.
Oh, we'll get to that later. And when he wasn't preaching or working his day job during the day, PD Kaiser sold penny insurance to the hill folk.
Yeah.
He was
He
a
had
good
several
salesman.
grifts.
He's
Yeah.
a good salesman. He's selling penny stocks and
Yeah.
penny insurance to the hill people that he's preaching to. When he wasn't doing that, Reverend PD would drag his family around the mountains of North Carolina, setting up churches, hosting revivals, singing gospel hymns on local radio stations, all that type of shit. Blanche and the other kids, when they would go to the radio stations, and he had them do a lot of busking too.
Yeah.
Standing on street corners, the whole family of 9. And when they would be on the radio or just busking, Blanche and the other children hold down the harmony,
Yeah.
little tambourines. And Mama Flonnie is on backing vocals while PD is on lead and
Yeah.
plays guitar. It's very Partridge Family,
Yeah.
but fucked.
Yeah. More fucked.
Now, no matter how good Reverend PD was at building churches, hosting revivals, getting people into his thing, each and every single one of his endeavors would end the same way. Ask me how they end.
Bankrupt? Oh, how do they end?
No. PD would start drinking, and once he starts drinking, he starts sleeping with the women in the church.
Yeah.
And once he starts sleeping with the women in the congregation, that would lead to PD and the Kaiser family being ran out of town on the rail by a gun-toting husband.
That sounds right.
And with no church home, they would have to rebuild again.
Yeah.
So this is her entire childhood.
That's
Go to
chaotic.
a place, you build a church home,
Yeah.
daddy drinks, he fucks the wrong broad in the congregation, you're run out of town,
Yeah.
and now you're busking for a living until he gets up enough money to start another church.
God.
Oh yeah. Yeah, they would move to a lot of different places.
Yeah.
And the pattern just would repeat over and over
That's
and over.
awful.
Yeah. And of course he beats him and stuff too, but yeah, here we are. I felt like that part's actually worse.
The beatings?
No, the having to like uproot,
Yeah.
panhandle, build a new church. Dad's gonna fuck it up in like
Yeah.
a year. So that means they're never any place for more than a year,
Yeah.
maybe 2.
That sucks. Yeah.
Before they're back out on the street busking for dad to go fuck it up all over again.
Yeah.
In 1942, when Blanche was 9, the Kaiser family left the Brown Mill area for Burlington, bigger town. But the move didn't change Reverend PD much. He was notoriously strict with his daughters, well, all the kids, but the daughters most especially.
Of course.
They never had much money, but Reverend PD would expect all of his girls and make sure they were proper modest. Mm-hmm. Even though they barely got a pot to piss in or a window to throw it out of, but goddamn it, those skirts will touch your ankles. Yeah. I will not see a wrist in this bitch.
Yeah.
It's a weird anthill to die on.
Well, he's not going to have them settle for a man like him.
I mean, considering the kind of abject poverty that they're dealing with, the modesty is a weird anthill to die on. Mm-hmm. You're busking for food.
Yeah.
That's hard.
Yeah, that is.
You've got bigger problems if that's where your life is taking you.
Yeah, but this guy's dumb. Like, if you're drinking and gambling away, like, you're...
And fucking, don't forget the fucking. The fucking is probably more important than the drinking and the gambling.
Yeah.
You're fucking your family's money away. Quite literally.
Yeah. I could see him, like, putting his self-esteem on, like, keeping these girls in line. Because he can't keep himself in line.
No. None of the girls were allowed to participate in after-school activities.
Aww.
And when Blanche was old enough to work, she got a job in a shop in downtown Burlington to help the family. Mm-hmm. And she spent most, if not all of her, like, she spent a lot of her money on clothes.
Yeah.
Because she never had nice clothes.
Yeah.
But she would hide the clothes from her father. Because he would take them.
Yeah.
Because they were probably less than modest.
Oh, yeah. They're probably modern.
Right.
She wanted to be fashionable like any kid.
And so she would hide the clothes from her dad and give her parents just enough money.
Yeah.
To keep them off her back and not know that she'd bought a new skirt.
Yeah.
And some saddle shoes and some penny loafers.
Yeah.
And something that only went to her knee.
Yeah.
By the time Blanche was a teenager, it was clear that she would one day be a striking young woman. Mm-hmm. I know too much, and so it's really hard for me to judge the attractiveness of some of these people, as you know.
Yeah.
But I've been told that Blanche is not bad looking, objectively. She just reminds me of the kind of skinny, petite, pinch-faced bird woman that I have never had good experiences with. Mm-hmm. So people like Blanche, that look like Blanche, in my brain, I'm just like, are horrible from word go.
Yeah.
So here's a picture of Blanche when she was a young woman.
Okay.
Dark hair, fair skin. She has dark brown, almost black eyes.
Yeah. I would call her an Appalachian beauty.
And I'll let you
have
have
shade
it.
Appalachia. But, like, I can see why she's pretty.
Yeah, and just to be, I'm just like, I just don't have good experiences with these pinch-faced bird people.
No, she looks like she's about to call the cops on you.
Yeah, she would. She would.
She does look like that.
So that's just me. But she was definitely considered a very attractive woman. Mm-hmm. She's thin with an ample bosom. Mm-hmm. Because apparently you can be skinny as a rail as long as you got good boobs. Dudes are into it.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Dolly will attest.
True story. Now, Reverend PD may not have approved of the boys that were starting to follow his little girl home as she started to mature, but that did not stop him from taking advantage of Blanche's beauty.
Mm-hmm. Of course not. He's a bum.
When Blanche was about 13-ish, Reverend PD took her out for a drive to the country. Mm-hmm. They get out to the middle of nowhere, and there's a man standing in the woods in a blue Ford pickup.
Okay.
And Reverend PD, who was drunk, in later interviews, Blanche said she could smell the whiskey on her father's breath. Yeah. During this conversation, he leaned over. He said, "See that man over there?" She's like, "Yep." And she said, and PD told her, "I'm going to follow that man. Mm-hmm. We get out this car. I want you to fuck him." Ew. Now, Blanche is shocked.
Of course.
She's like, "What? Why would I do that, Daddy?"
Yeah, right? Aw.
That doesn't sound modest at all. Why would I do such a thing?
Right?
And that's when Reverend PD explained to Blanche that he owed the man in the blue truck a lot of money. Mm-hmm. And if he didn't pay up, and she didn't put out, it was going to mean a lot of trouble for the whole family.
Really? The whole family?
That's what he told her.
I know, right?
She's at the age where she probably believed it.
Of course. 13? Yeah.
What is probably more realistic is that he got into a gambling debt, didn't have the money to pay, and said, I'll give you my hot 13-year-old daughter.
Yeah.
That's more likely what happened. But he does have to give the illusion that the daughter is going willingly. Mm-hmm. So if he has to tell her the whole family's in danger, here we are.
Yeah.
And then he told the Blanche that the man in the truck wasn't going to hurt her. Just go over there and fuck that man. He's not going to hurt you. Mm-hmm. And she said, how do you know, Daddy? He said, because I'm a watch.
Ew.
Yeah.
Ugh. Man. Yeah. See, it's like bums like this that give Appalachia a bad name.
They really, really do.
I know, right? It's always the religious ones, too.
Right, give me that old time.
I know. If you want me to not trust you, real quick, tell me you're a preacher. Like, oh.
Yeah, it's a problem.
Yeah.
And don't be a bird-faced person, too, because then it's a double problem. Now, it may have been too little too late, but in 1959, Flonnie finally got divorced from Reverend P.D. Kaiser.
Yay. The second they made no fault legal.
No, this was not a no-fault divorce. She had to go to court and prove abandonment.
Oh, nice. Good for her.
She did successfully.
Good for her.
The no-fault divorce didn't become a thing until I think
maybe in the 60s.
Late 60s, early 70s. Yeah, 1959, you had to prove that they had abandoned you or done you dirty somehow.
Yeah, it was a lot harder.
Man. But she made her case successfully. She was granted her divorce. She had to prove that not only did he abandon her and their 7 children, but she had to prove that he left them with no food, no heat.
Yeah.
Like, she didn't...
The threshold is ridiculous.
Yeah, she had to, go in with all the unpaid bills and pay stubs.
Basically go in, dirty and tattered and look at the skinny children. Mm-hmm. It's stupid, But good for her. Good for her for getting her freedom.
But she got her divorce.
Yay!
On the way out the door, P.D. told Flonnie that he was out to find himself a younger woman and he would not pay a lick of alimony or child support.
Yeah. Like Flonnie was expecting that.
I mean...
she knows what a bum he is.
He never supported his family in the first place.
Yeah, exactly.
But shocker of shockers, when the divorce was finalized, P.D. Kaiser was ordered to pay $25 a week in alimony to Flonnie, and he actually paid it. He paid it faithfully for 2 years. Huh. He had a 2-year alimony order of $25 a week.
He must have been facing prison time or something.
$100 a month.
Yeah.
And he paid that faithfully for the 2 years that he was obligated.
I am surprised.
And that is Blanche's start in life. Poor thing.
Yeah.
Well, you'll stop feeling sorry for her soon enough.
Yeah. But I mean, being pimped out by your hypocritical preacher daddy.
Blanche is one of those people that there's going to be plenty, especially in her early life, there's plenty of reasons to feel bad for her. Mm-hmm. But then she's going to make a bunch of decisions. It's like, oh, so you are like your dad. So now that we've finished with Blanche's bleak childhood, oh, how bleak was my childhood.
That's pretty bleak, yeah.
We're going to talk about Blanche Taylor and James Taylor, not the singer.
Yeah.
Even though I can't think of a James Taylor song, I think he sang Nights in White Satin, even though I'm probably wrong. But it feels like something that James Taylor, the singer, would have done.
Just like a guitar strumming, like...
Nights in White Satin.
Yeah, put you to sleep.
Yeah, or piss you off. Because this is all there is to listen to when you're not in a position where you can't go to sleep. And this is just, oh God, that's hard.
Yeah.
once I was driving to Arizona and I was driving back to Arizona with my dad, and the only CDs he had in the car, this is a while ago, the only CDs he had in the car were like slow jams.
Yeah.
Like 80s R&B slow jams.
Yeah.
Basically, what my dad likes. And the only album he had in the car that wouldn't put me to sleep while I was driving was Bob Marley. But it was all the slow jams.
Oh.
I was dying.
That's bad.
I'm not in a position where I can fall asleep because I'm driving the fucking car.
Yeah.
And all I have is music to sleep to.
Yeah.
That's what I imagine James Taylor. Yeah, so that's what I imagine James Taylor is.
It's like
not a good
what
feeling.
the Charlie Brown teachers, what they would listen to.
Oh my god. So it's not that James Taylor. It's a whole different James Taylor.
Yeah.
But I kept thinking about the other one the whole time I'm writing this. So after that incident with the man in the blue truck and being pimped out by her father,
Yeah.
Blanche is looking for an off-ramp to her family.
Yeah.
She would very much like to leave.
Yeah.
She does not like it here.
Yeah, that is sane and true.
And that is when she met James Napoleon Taylor.
Oh my god.
Napoleon.
Heirs, I tell you. Heirs.
You know what? These are some... it will never cease to amaze me, some of the aspirational names that people give their children.
I know. That's so funny.
When I was in college, I knew a guy named Apollo.
Cool. Was he Greek?
No, black guy named Apollo.
Hmm.
He was built like a semi-truck. And I
Oh.
do not mean that in a good way.
Oh.
My boy was as round as the day is long.
Lord.
But he is named after the god of health and fitness, really. That's
Also,
what we're
Apollo
doing.
is also the god of the sun, so he is sun-shaped.
It was like, and he would puff out his chest. Apollo is my name. And we would just like look at him like,
And we just call you Paul.
like that. What I mean, nope. There was no abbreviating. It was just Apollo. But we just left it at that.
Yeah.
His name is Apollo, but he's built like a bowling ball.
Yeah.
That's how I feel about James's middle name being Napoleon.
I know, right?
Now, James was a good old boy whose family came from the Milltown area near Concord.
Concord.
Yes, Concord.
Yeah. Wait, is this up in Massachusetts?
No, we're still in North Carolina. We're not leaving North Carolina
Okay,
for
then
any
it's
of this.
Concord.
Yeah. And I'm like, maybe that's just because I'm from the north of Concord. That's what it says. Much like Blanche's family had done before, when they moved to Burlington. James was the youngest of Isla and William Taylor's 11. Ooh, 11 children.
Oh my god.
Get cable, learn to read, do something. That's a lot.
Yeah. Oh, that poor woman.
Right? Just pop, pop, pop,
Yeah.
pop, pop. 11.
Like, I know. And it's not entirely her choice. Like, God bless people nowadays with, like, all the contraception we have. If you want a big family, God bless you. I hope you love kids and you love raising kids. But 11 is child abuse.
No, it just means every time he puts it in, a baby pops out.
Yeah.
Literally.
Ugh.
The Taylors would raise their entire brood in a small 3-room house. Not
Ooh.
3-bedroom, 3-room.
Yeah.
The book, Preacher's Girl,
Yeah.
is very adamant. It is a 3-room house, not a 3-bedroom house.
Mm-hmm.
The Taylors were a solid family who may have started out as the working poor, but as their kids grew into adulthood, all of them were on the road to being solidly middle-class members of society.
Oh, nice. Good for them.
Well, everybody except for James. James's siblings would all finish high school, attend college, and become professionals. James, the second youngest, would drop out of high school.
Ooh.
And while they loved him too much to say it to his face, he was definitely the ne'er-do-well of the Taylor
Yeah.
clan.
Yeah.
As adults, all of the other siblings always pitched in to help James with money, bills, whatever flighty business venture he was trying to start at any given moment. He's got fucking 10 brothers and sisters he can hit up for
Yeah.
500 here, 300 there.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? At least he ain't bothering Mom and Pa.
Yeah.
He ain't bothering Mama Taylor with this nonsense. I guess. Is that the silver lining of having that many siblings?
I guess.
Is that if you're going to be a complete and total fuck up, you don't have to worry your parents.
Failure buffers. Yeah.
Yeah, you've got siblings that can kind of
bail you out.
help out with that. James liked to drink and gamble at the local Moose Lodge. And that's where he's described as charming, immature, prone to throwing fits when he doesn't get his way because he's the youngest and he's a little bit of a brat.
Yeah.
And that's probably why his siblings are like, James needs 500, I'm going to just give him 500.
Yeah.
In short, he is the spoiled baby of the family.
Yes. I can see why Blanche is going to like him. Imprints. You fit my imprint.
Right? But for all of his faults, James was a very talented carpenter that specialized in refinishing and building custom furniture.
Mm-hmm.
So he's actually a very well-respected craftsman who loves to have a good time.
Okay.
It's weird. He's a ne'er-do-well, but he's apparently incredibly
I
talented.
know, especially in an area known for furniture making. How is he not more of a success?
I think he drinks and gambles away a lot more than...
In a PD way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We don't know a lot about how Blanche and James met or what their courtship was like, other than to know it worked.
Yeah.
James and Blanche were wed on May 29th, 1952. James was 24. Blanche was 19.
Okay.
This is the first off-ramp to her family, and she will take it.
Yeah.
And so the picture that I showed you of Blanche as a young woman, that was James with her.
Okay. Nice couple.
I can't call it,
Yeah.
but I will defer to you.
They're a cute little
They are a
couple.
nice, average, attractive couple.
Yes.
When I look at Blanche, no matter what age she is, all I see is evil bird lady.
Yeah.
And I can't help myself. Once they were married, Blanche wasted no time in trying to make herself an important part of the Taylor family. But the rest of the Taylors thought Blanche was a bit of an odd duck.
Yeah.
From their perspective, James showed up with Blanche out of nowhere in 1951. They don't know where she came from.
Yeah.
He just showed up with this skinny broad with good boobs and long black hair and dark eyes and bird-like features, and
Yeah.
they decided she was definitely the best-looking woman James has ever brought home. And they kind of felt that Blanche was a little too fancy. She was always overdressed, even though they were just hanging out at the house.
Yeah.
They are very much even for all of their success.
Yeah.
They're very much a country family.
Yeah.
They're very much jeans and t-shirts and overalls and
Yeah.
spitting
Just
tobacco.
casual. Yeah.
And she is very much Christian Dior's new look.
Mm-hmm.
Wide skirt,
Yeah.
the heels.
Trendy.
Very much on trend and fashionable. And the family was worried that the relationship moved really quickly. It just seemed like he showed up with her one day
Yeah.
and they were married the next.
That makes sense. I mean, when you're looking to escape chaos.
I think
Yeah.
I think Blanche, again, we don't know because they don't say, but I suspect that Blanche got him pretty pussy drunk real quick.
Yeah. Makes sense.
And then he was like, yeah, marry. Yeah, we're gonna marry. Yeah, give me that bird puss.
Yeah.
What's more of that bird puss?
Yeah.
We're gonna keep doing this. We're gonna marry you. Let's do it. Fine. But, you know what? It was clear that James is in love, so if he likes it, they love it. Whatever. In time, the Taylors would see why James and Blanche were a good match. They're both outgoing, energetic. They're both always looking for a good time, something interesting to do. She doesn't necessarily share his love for gambling and drinking.
Yeah.
But she's like, what? There's a fair over there. Let's go.
Let's go dancing.
Yeah, she's very much that, and so is James. In later interviews, James's brother Ralph would say that Blanche was his brother's dream come true.
Aw.
the Taylor sisters, of which there are plenty. I don't know what the boys girls split,
but statistically, there's plenty.
There's 11 of them, for fuck's sake. Yeah. There's plenty of sisters and brothers. But the sisters took a bit longer to warm up to Blanche, and some of the sisters never warmed to her at all. The Taylor sisters were put off by the way Blanche behaved in the company of men. You know, this is the middle 50s, so they're expecting her to keep that sort of sexual hierarchy. Women folk over here talking about crocheting and children and women's things. And men over here talking about drinking and politics and sports and men's things.
Yeah.
Blanche is more comfortable talking about sports and politics with the men folk than she is talking about crocheting and babies with the women folk. And that makes James's mother and sisters a bit uneasy about Blanche.
Oh, sure.
They don't understand her.
Yeah.
Which I think is a little unfair. But considering the suit that they're growing up in, I can see it.
Yeah.
You know?
Like, it would be, like, so this woman actively seeking male attention would be frowned upon, especially when you have a husband. It's like, yeah. It by modern standards, it's not fair. Everyone should be able to talk to whoever they want. But,
right, but the suit that they're growing up in, this is a
breach of social etiquette.
She ain't got no social graces. Look at her with the men folk.
Right? Yeah.
Talking to the men folk. What she know about politics? In 1953, Blanche and James welcomed their daughter Vanessa into the world. Yay!
All right. Hey, Vanessa.
And not long after Vanessa was born, Blanche took a job as a cashier at a local Kroger.
Nice.
To help ends meet. Oh, and Blanche made a splash at the Kroger.
No doubt.
The men folk would line up at her register to flirt. Mm-hmm. Get a look at them boobies.
Yeah.
Look at them tatas.
Yeah.
But she was also popular with the women folk.
Huh.
Man or woman, Blanche never forgot her face. She never forgot her name. She was exceedingly polite and made small talk with everybody. So you go into her line, she might flirt a little bit and, you know, how about them Yankees with the guys? But when the women come to her, oh my God, Pauline, how's your daughter?
Yeah.
Did your granddaughter? That's good to hear. I am so glad that your son got his grades together. I've been telling them boys that they need to worry about them.
Yeah.
She's that.
Yes.
So she was always chatting with people about their social lives or flirting. So as far as being the cashier, she's really good at her job.
Yeah.
At least the customer service
Yes.
bit. Blanche was also the grand mistress of office gossip.
No doubt.
At her store. She always had a line on what cashier or produce clerk were sleeping with what manager, bag boy, etc., etc.
Yeah.
And by the time she's 21, Blanche had been promoted to head cashier.
Oh, good for you, Blanche.
Which at the time, in the early middle 50s, is the highest position a woman could get.
Yeah.
You know, this is...
outside of teaching. Yeah.
Yeah, like, this is very much like sexually segregated. Women are cashiers. Men are managers, bag boys.
Yeah.
Butchers, bakers, and candlestick makers.
Yeah.
But women are just cashiers. So head cashier is a big fucking deal. Being the day-to-day boss of the cashiers and the bag boys put Blanche in the best position to lord over the store gossip. Oh, she know everything now.
Yeah.
But some of her co-workers wondered if Blanche was doing more at work than flirting and collecting gossip.
I mean, for what we know of her history, I would not be surprised.
One of her co-workers, a woman, I think her name was Mary, noticed that Blanche did a lot of sleight of hand with these registers.
Ooh.
Now, the way it works and it probably still works this way in grocery stores or just any place with a cash till. You clock in for the day, you get your till. You count the money in your till, you know how much money is there.
Yeah.
You sign off. You're responsible for this till for the whole of the day.
Yes.
And when you count out at the end of the day, you're responsible for that. Blanche would use a lot of loaner registers where she would like, so I need to take care of so-and-so. Well, just put a loaner register on and I'll take care of it. So that leaves her enough plausible deniability that if money goes missing or if the count is off, she has plausible deniability because she never has her own register.
Okay.
She only uses loaners and floats between other people. So some of her coworkers were suspected that Blanche was embezzling from Kroger.
Yeah.
With her loaner register shit.
Yeah.
They just couldn't prove it.
Yeah.
1959 was an eventful year for Blanche. Not only was this the year that she had been promoted to head cashier, huzzah, that was also the year that her daughter Cindy was born.
Nice.
Huzzah. Now, Blanche being so excited about being head cashier, she did offer to promote a woman, this married woman, that she thought of as a good cashier and a good friend to be her number 2. But Mary wouldn't take it.
Oh.
She didn't want to be in that booth with Blanche because she suspects that Blanche is stealing.
Yeah.
And if you're in the booth with Blanche, you're putting yourself in a position to be the fall guy for whatever fuck shit she's up to if the shit gets real.
Yeah.
And people just didn't want to be in that position.
Yeah.
But while Blanche's career is on the upswing, James is starting to let himself go.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Domestic life was not good for his waistline.
Ooh.
Or his hairline.
Oh, no. You can't blame domesticity on that. That's just nature.
I'm not, but he definitely, once he gets married and have children, he definitely settles into the middle-aged spread in his, like, late 20s, early 30s.
He's in a hurry.
He settles into the, like, time to let myself go. I got my woman, I got my house, I got some kids, and a couple of neat hobbies.
Yeah.
This is it for me.
Yeah. Dun, 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 dun.
And he lets himself go.
Yeah.
Which makes Blanche a bit unattracted.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
I can see that.
And then on top of that, his hair is thinning. He can't help that his hair is thinning, but it's a very unflattering pattern.
Oh, no.
Like, it's not even going, like, in a nice, uniform way. It's just going in a weird way.
Yeah.
And the drinking and the partying and the gambling that used to make him so much fun as a man in his early 20s, now that he's approaching 30 with a wife and a couple of kids, now he's a bore.
Yeah.
Like, both literally and physically. He's a bore.
Yeah.
He's a drunken bore on every level. And so Blanche starts looking for love elsewhere.
Yeah. That makes sense.
She ain't above cheating.
Yeah. I'm not surprised.
I mean, she should just leave.
True.
If it's going left and he's not willing to do the things that if there's no reciprocity here, then bounce. If he's willing to give up some reciprocity, see if you can make it work.
But I can also see a young woman who comes from a chaotic background not wanting to give up her place.
No, she's not at all.
And if you can sneak behind his back,
which she will.
Yeah.
Often. Often. So one night during dinner, Blanche announced that she was going to go visit her mother the next day. James asked, well, how you going to get there? They only got one car, and he was going to go play cards at the lounge that night. So how you going to get to your mama house?
Yeah.
Blanche was very smug, and she said, I'll get there.
Yeah.
James got upset because Blanche was giving a little flip, a little attitude, especially since all of this is happening in front of their 2 daughters. It's one thing for their marriage to be having problems, but James doesn't want the disrespect or those problems to be obvious to their daughters. So he gets very upset if he perceives that Blanche is disrespecting him in front of the children.
Okay.
I guess that undermines his authority
Yeah, of course.
as the father.
Yeah.
6 of one, half dozen of the other.
Yeah.
In a perfect world, the children should never know about adult problems.
Yeah, true. I feel like the drinking and the gambling really undermines his authority.
A lot of things undermined his authority. Some
Yeah.
of them are his fault, some of them aren't.
Yeah.
But whatever. So, Blanche is being a little
Yeah.
but they're still having dinner. She's eating her chocolate pudding. It's dessert time.
Yeah.
And she's very dainty when she eats her pudding.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Like pudding pops, but chocolate pudding just looks like poo.
It does. It tastes great, though.
And sometimes it's the poo thing that I can't get.
Texture.
It's color because it's not the consistency of poo,
True. Well,
depending on the poo.
yeah.
We'll talk about enough poo in this episode. It'll be fine. But, she's very daintily. She's eating her chocolate pudding. And then James asks, so what, you gonna take off in your boss's company car to see your mama? Huh? Huh? She's like, maybe.
None of your business.
Oh, and he's mad because it's like, it makes no sense. You're a cashier. You may be the head cashier.
Yeah.
But you're still just a cashier.
Yeah.
Why does your boss keep letting you use his car?
Yeah.
His company car. What are you up to?
Yeah.
James ain't stupid.
No.
He knows she's up to something.
Like, he's a dropout, but he's not stupid.
Right. Right. So James sat there, he ate his pudding for a few minutes, and then he wondered out loud, why is it that you always could get your hands on a company car for your boss from personal errands? That don't sound right to me.
Yeah.
You ain't management. You just a cashier.
Yeah.
Head cashier. But still,
Yeah.
it's weird. And maybe Blanche could let him know how this arrangement worked.
Yeah. No.
She just ate her pudding while he's raging on and on, accusing her of cheating without accusing her of cheating. And because he was not getting a reaction out of Blanche, he flung pudding in her face. He just picked up a spoon.
Yeah.
And it hit her bullseye, dead eyes, in the face. Just pudding running all down that little bird face of hers. But Blanche didn't move. Very stoic. And that's when he shot another spoonful of pudding at her.
Oh my God.
Now it's in her hair.
Yeah.
It's everywhere. She still didn't move. She just sat there.
Yeah.
And since he still is not getting a reaction,
Yeah.
James picks up the bowl of pudding and just pies in the face with it.
Yeah.
Just, then she got up so that she could clean herself off. And she got up. She cleaned her off her face and cleared the dinner dishes after that.
Yeah.
And then James took off to the lounge to go play cards.
Mature.
Very. This marriage is going well, isn't it?
Right?
In total, they will be married for 21 years.
Wow. Dang.
So by the time he's throwing pudding at her, they're maybe like 10 years in.
Yeah.
So she's been running around on him a little bit here and there for a little while.
He's throwing food.
I don't know why I think it's so funny that she just sat there so still. Just took it. Just took that. I mean, inside she was raging.
Probably. Yeah.
But Blanche is one.
Why give him what he wants?
She is very much a you will not see me cry. Like, if you're going to be crazy, I will not give you a reaction.
Yeah.
She is very much that. And the fact that she doesn't react just makes James even
I know, that's hilarious.
more upset. Which is why she got the whole cup of pudding in the face. Because something's going to make you move, bitch.
Yeah.
You know what? In this regard, Blanche is better to me. Throw pudding at me and see if you don't get a fucking steak knife to the jugular and see what happens. I will overreact to some shit like that. Like, should you die because somebody threw pudding in your face? No.
No, you just wait to smother them at night.
That's still a severe overreaction to pudding in the face.
It is.
But that is the overreaction I would give.
Yeah.
So in this regard, Blanche is better than me. Oh, Jeannie, Blanche is a fucking mess.
Yeah. How could she not be?
True. Oh, you'll start to dislike her soon enough.
I'm ready. I'm ready.
So by the 1960s, Blanche and James are living very separate lives.
Mm-hmm.
But James, for his part though, he's trying to get himself under control.
Oh, good for him.
He's never really able to quite get rid of the middle-age spread.
Yeah.
Once it spreads, it spreads.
Mm-hmm.
Don't even get me started. There's like drama in bodybuilding world. The girls are fighting.
Oh.
So one bodybuilder, he's a fairly famous bodybuilding scientist type named Dr. Mike.
Yeah.
He just had liposuction to get rid of his love handles and a little bit of like belly fat. Because before he became a bodybuilder, he was a power lifter.
Okay. Yeah.
And power lifters are strong fat.
Yeah.
Right? They don't give a fuck if you consider biceps or whatever.
Yeah.
They're just huge and they're strong. And as he got into bodybuilding, he had some like extra fat cells and loose skin that he was never quite able to get rid of to his satisfaction.
Yeah.
And made him a little insecure. So he had lipo, a tummy tuck.
All right, good for him.
To get that little shit done. And so the discourse in the bodybuilding community is like, how you a muscle scientist and you getting that shit done? Why couldn't you take your own advice? And because his thing is he looks at other people's exercise videos, bodybuilding videos, and he critiques them from a muscle science perspective. So the discourse is he's not taking his own advice.
I mean, science can only go so far. I mean, there's things you cannot make your body do.
Yeah,
it's not going to do it.
I think 6 of one, half dozen of the other. But at the same time, I don't think he would be getting this much smoke if he was a nicer person.
Probably.
He's one of those insecure guys that's a little bit of a dick. You know?
That happens.
But yeah, so...
But it would be worse if he hid the fact.
True. It just the fact that James just got to a place where he's just like, I'm middle-aged and balding. This is just happening. Reminded me of Dr. Mike of like, look...
I manage this as best I can.
Yeah, so that reminded me of that. But he did cut back on his drinking. Quit hanging out so much with his gambling buddies because the drinking and the gambling seem to go hand in hand. So he cut out a lot of the friends and stuff that he did those things with. Became a more active member of his church, which pleased Blanche mightily.
Oh.
And took up photography and videography in his spare time.
Huh. Neat.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Blanche took up some hobbies too. And the main one being selling Tupperware. Or tumbleware.
Yeah.
As the mountain folk like to call it. Tumbleware. I don't know where they got tumble and tupper, but whatever.
Because you could drop it. It's not glass.
I guess so. But yeah, they called it tumbleware instead of Tupperware.
Yeah.
But, Blanche ain't selling that much.
No.
Mostly the Tupperware parties and shit like that are a cover to go cheat on her husband.
Exactly. I think most things will be from now on.
Which is weird because she is so charismatic and so charming and so personable. She could have cleaned up selling Tupperware. She really could have.
Yeah. I guess she just wasn't that interested.
No, because she just needed a cover to cheat on her husband.
Right?
But, whatever. It's just funny. It's like, but you're working poor.
I know, but she's too mission focused.
Like, you could do a thing to get you closer to middle class.
Yeah.
You have a skill.
Yeah.
Go use it.
I know.
But no, it's just a cover. Blanche, if you hadn't guessed, is an outrageous flirt, especially at work. Oh, if there was a new delivery guy that came down to the Kroger to drop off the produce, the vegetables, whatever the fuck,
Yeah.
Lots of deliveries at a grocery store. And if that man had the right kind of body, she was not shy about giving him the once over.
Very Blanche of her.
And she would be mid-conversation, she would sometimes mid-sentence stop and look at a man. I'd like to see the dick on him. Anyway, the Lord said.
Yeah.
We'll talk about it more in a second, but it's very interesting. She is equal parts super horny,
Yeah.
but incredibly pious.
Yeah.
Just like her daddy.
Yeah. The hypocrite.
Yeah, it's just funny. Like, she could be a mid-sentence and go,
Yeah.
You can see the dick on that one.
Yeah.
Anyway, the good Lord said.
Right? Only comes to school from the school of, well, I'm not gay, so I'm good.
Yeah. But, like, and she would let the men, that if she was interested in a man, she had her ways of letting them know that she is open for business, girl. So, in spite of living very separate lives and Blanche's series of affairs, she has a bunch of them. They're mostly flings. She fucked that bag boy. She fucked this stock guy. Yeah. She fucked this produce manager. She fucked this guy from the store 3 doors down.
Nothing serious. Keep it moving.
Right. The 1960s were a peaceful time in the Taylor home, all things considered. Separate lives and a shitload of affairs.
Yeah.
This is a good time for them. Even though all the Taylor kids were grown, families of their own, their parents still lived in that same 3-room house where they raised their entire family. Most weekends, James, Blanche, and their girls headed to the Taylor family home for big Sunday dinners and weekend barbecues. And it's not just James and his pod. The other 10 are coming in too with their respective pods.
Yeah.
It wasn't unusual to see James or any of his siblings at his parents' house helping to clean up the yard, make repairs to the house,
Nice.
and then staying for dinner.
Yeah.
They're a very kind and close-knit family.
Yeah. That is sweet.
When James and Blanche were at home, at his parents' house at the Taylor family home, James got a kick out of playing with his sister Dot's kids. She's got one 20-year-old and a couple of littles, and Dot is a widow.
Okay.
And so James felt that it was vital to give Dot's kids, especially the littles, a little extra something.
Yeah.
You know, Uncle James really needs to step in because they lost their daddy.
Yeah.
And one of his major things is home movies.
Oh.
He loves taking home movies of the kids and the family in general. Like, they're a big, loving family in an itty-bitty house, and they enjoy each other's company and having a good time.
That does sound like a blast.
Yeah. Actually, the Taylors don't seem like bad people to me.
No, not at all. They sound really sweet.
One night in 1962, Blanche was looking a little too good to be spending the night with the family.
Yeah.
Oh, she had on a low-cut black dress and with a full skirt and little pumps, and her bird lady makeup is done just right. And
hair coiffed.
Right. Usually, this is when Blanche would have told James that she had to go to a Tupperware party. That's why she was so dressed up. It's Tupperware, darling.
Yeah.
I gotta go to work. Right?
Right, I gotta impress the people.
But she had burned that excuse earlier in the week. And she had forgotten to set up a new one.
Ah.
Damn it. Blanche tried to leave anyway. But James said, look, I am making movies to show the family at Christmas. And I would like to see you in them, Blanche.
Right?
Oh, her shoulders sank. She visibly wilted.
Aw.
at like being forced to spend time with her extended family.
Yeah.
She was just like, ugh.
Not the good time I had in mind.
I was trying to get, ugh.
Yeah.
You seen the dick on that guy?
I know. I've been priming him all week.
But since she wasn't able to get out of it this time, she decided to take up space next to her mother-in-law, Mama Isla Taylor. When Blanche sat next to Mama Isla, they made some small talk. You know, Isla's like, how's your mama? How your siblings? Yada, yada, yada. And after some polite back and forth, Isla whispered to Blanche. She didn't want the whole family to hear, but she felt this was important to say. And she whispered to Blanche, you know, it wouldn't really hurt you to spend some time with the family, Blanche.
Right? Just a little bit.
She didn't want to embarrass her. But she does. Remember, they've been married maybe 15 years at this point. So Blanche is in her early approaching her middle 30s. James is in his late 30s, approaching his 40s. Remember, they got married at 19 and 24, respectively.
Yeah.
So there's that. Blanche is quiet for a little bit. Yeah, spend more time with this Blanche. It won't hurt you.
Right?
And then she started bitching that James was spending all of our extra money on film and photography on that movie film. Spending all our money, Mama Taylor, on that movie film.
It can be expensive.
Can be.
It is not the cheapest hobby.
Especially back then, when we're talking actual film cameras, not the... I mean, cell phones are not cheap. Let's be real. But the fact of the matter is we all have a decent video camera or whatever in our pocket that we don't have to buy any extra accessories to use. Versus back then, it's the early 60s, he's got to buy the camera, the film, pay somebody to develop it, all that shit. Now, Isla Taylor did acknowledge that all this filming and photography can be an expensive hobby. Fair. But it makes James so happy.
Yeah. Exactly.
Especially since he got into the filming and the photographering. He ain't drinking. He ain't gambling.
It's been good for him.
More time at church. More time with the family. So isn't it worth a couple extra nickels?
Yeah.
For him to be on the good foot?
Right?
Blanche said no. No. It ain't worth it. One, if he's closer to Jesus at all, it's because Blanche drags him to church. It ain't got nothing to do with that other thing. I personally bring him closer to the Lord, Mama Taylor.
Sure.
I do it. On top of that, all that money he's spending on filming, he could be buying clothes for these girls. We got babies. They're about 6 and maybe 10-ish.
Yeah.
But let Blanche say it, we got growing girls here.
Yeah.
These girls need clothes. They need shoes. She did laundry last week. She couldn't find more but 2 pairs of socks that weren't holding mismatch.
Could be.
I think she's exaggerating.
I mean, yeah. But, yeah.
But
it is not outside the realm of possibility.
Now, always one willing to help and give solid advice. Mama Taylor just was like, well, Blanche, if the girls need clothes and socks and things, I got 11 kids, a not insignificant number of daughters,
right?
11, and I got a bunch of granddaughters.
Yeah.
Too.
Just hand-me-downs.
I'm sure I've got some things that your girls could use that I'd be proud for you to have.
Yeah.
And she said, proud to have. It is a point of pride for this woman to be able to give her daughter-in-law and her granddaughters extra clothes and shoes.
Yeah.
She was probably dying for Blanche to ask to have this stuff.
Yeah.
But, if Blanche was a normal person, she would have probably just thanked her mother-in-law for the stuff, or at least thanked her for the offer, and ended the conversation.
Yes.
Blanche is not a normal person.
Nope.
So instead of ending the conversation or taking the clothes, Blanche then changes tack to complain about how fat James is now. And that he's losing his hair.
Yeah.
And he just ain't sexy no more.
Well, no. Some people just can't maintain sexy forever.
Low key, I don't think Blanche ever has.
Yeah.
But that's me. I know too much. It's very hard
Yeah.
for me to see these people as attractive
Based
once
on
I know
the
what I
men
know.
she's with.
I mean, I can acknowledge it as a fact.
Yeah.
I just don't see it. It is weird that after a while I know so much that I'm just like,
Yeah.
"Ugh,
You know the
you're
ugliness
you're
inside. And you can't
disgusting,
see
and I
behind.
can't.
Yeah.
I can't see where any of this is good looking.
Right.
Now, Blanche is over here talking about how James ain't shit. He don't provide. He wastes money, and he's fat.
Yeah. True.
Now, Isla is a proud woman. She is a polite woman.
Mm-hmm.
She's not going to punch Blanche in the face like she should.
Right?
But she's not going to sit there and let Blanche badmouth her baby
Good for her.
in her own home.
Mm-hmm.
So what she did is she looked Blanche dead in the eye and told her, Blanche, you may not know it, but you have a good husband in James. He's a good man, Savannah girl.
Yeah.
I don't get to use waiting to exhale references often.
Right?
It's a good man, Savannah girl. A good man.
True.
And if you wouldn't be so fidgety and on the go, maybe you'd see it.
Yeah.
Bam! Shade from an 80-year-old woman.
Right? Very polite shade.
And then Mama Isla wondered out loud, where is it that you run off to every evening, Blanche?
In the pines where the sun don't ever shine.
Because it can't be old tumblewell all the time.
I know.
I love how his family's constantly calling Blanche a cheating whore, but not
Yeah.
calling her a cheating
Just
whore.
very, very politely.
Now, Blanche gets ready to go into a tirade about how she likes to keep busy and this, that, and the other.
Yeah.
And then Mama Isla asks Blanche, are you doing right by my boy?
Fair question.
Blanche is now offended. But this is like one of those very hushed conversations.
Yeah.
You know, they're sitting in the kitchen, drinking coffee,
Yeah.
trying not to let the rest of the family hear that they're low-key fighting.
Yeah. Yeah. In the politest way possible.
And Blanche said that she does right by James because she takes him to church. She's the reason that he's getting close to the Lord and cut out the booze. That's me. That's me, old lady.
Sure.
Now, this conversation has definitely put a frown on Mama Isla's face.
Mm.
And what neither Blanche or Isla noticed in their little huddle in the kitchen is that Dot's oldest daughter, the 20-something-year-old Vicky,
Yeah.
had been standing just outside of the threshold of the kitchen door,
Go, Vicky.
listening in.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
True Southern woman.
Yeah, she was just... Again, this is a 3-room house. There's a
Yeah.
kitchen, a living room, and some room that serves as bedrooms for
a
everybody or
cacophony of
something.
noise, but...
So, there's a lot going on, but she posts up
Yeah.
just so that she could ear hustle this conversation.
Right, a good Southern woman.
So, out of everybody in the Taylor family, if everybody in the Taylor family thinks that Blanche is odd
Mm-hmm.
and is just content to tolerate her,
Mm-hmm.
Vicky is one of the only ones, especially of the children, of, the cousins and nieces and shit.
Yeah.
She's one of the only ones that likes Blanche the least. Like, she openly dislikes Aunt Blanche.
Yeah.
And she's the most protected. I think she's among the older of the grandchildren.
Okay. Yeah,
being
sounds like.
in her early 20s.
Yeah.
And I think the husband that passed away may have been Dot's second husband.
Okay.
Because James is very invested in her little children.
Mm-hmm.
So, whatever.
Yeah.
But she likes Blanche the least, She is the most openly hostile, and she is the most openly protective of her grandparents, and is the least likely of all of the Taylor children to put up with Blanche's shit.
Yeah.
None of that Aunt Blanche shit. She's just Blanche.
Yeah.
So during her chat with Isla, neither Blanche or Isla realize that Vicky is ear hustling just outside of the threshold of the kitchen door.
Mm-hmm.
Then Vicky decided, you know what? She has made Grandma upset.
Yeah.
Put a stop to this shit right now.
Time to make my appearance.
So Vicky walks into the kitchen and asks Blanche, if you're such a good Christian woman, why don't you stay home in the evening and take care of your girls instead of driving off to Winston-Salem with your boss?
Yeah. Good question.
And why you keep dropping your kids off with my grandma, who is too old and too ill to be nursing babies for you, while you're out running around with your husband?
Mm-hmm.
Bring it, bitch.
Yeah. Right?
Vicky wants all of the smoke.
Yeah.
And the fire.
She was born for it.
She wants Blanche to fuck around and find out real bad. Blanche is already fucking around.
Yeah.
Vicky is just looking for a reason to
It's
give her
like
some find out.
Good Southern woman.
Blanche told Vicky, well, and she's being very condescending to this, she's a good decade and some change older than Vicky. So she's being very condescending.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I have to work in the evenings, darling. Mm-hmm. That bless your heart
Lady of
shit.
the night. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And their father is perfectly capable of taking care of the girls as well.
True.
Point for Blanche. I hate giving it to her,
I know.
but I'll give it to her.
Right.
James is perfectly capable of taking care of his two children. That don't mean that Blanche should be dropping them off on Isla every other fucking day while she's running around. But point for Blanche. Point is a point. So Vicky let it go because she was like, you know what? It's just another reason to dislike her.
Yeah.
Just fuck her. Never liked her. Didn't like her when I was a kid. Don't like her now. And it seemed like the conversation was over. Grandma Isla gets up. Blanche gets up. Vicky is officially alone in the kitchen. She's going to eat her feelings and make herself a sandwich.
Yay. The grand tradition of American grief.
If I can't punch you in the face and you eat some bologna.
Oh.
So Vicky gets the bread. She's getting ready to make her sandwich. Blanche comes back into the kitchen. And she puts her hand in the middle of that loaf of bread.
Wonder bread, no doubt.
I'm sure it was. The squishiest bread.
Yeah.
And she uses all of her bird scruff.
Yeah.
To squish that loaf of bread right in the middle.
It's so dickish.
Like a sparrow. Just squishing that bread in the middle. Then she took the squished up bag of bread and dumped all the crumbs on Vicky's head.
Yeah.
Ha! Take that. And through the whole thing, she's screaming at Vicky to never talk to her like that again.
Yeah.
Young lady.
Yes. Respect my authority.
I think there's maybe like a decade and some change in between Blanche and
At
Vicky.
least.
But I feel like Vicky's hated her since she was like 10.
Probably. As soon as she's like got a load of her personality.
Like Vicky's on that short list of people that Blanche can't get one over on.
Yeah.
She sees through the bullshit.
Yeah.
And now she's old enough to take her, if that's what needs to happen. Vicky stands up, and she got into Blanche's face and told her to shut the fuck up.
Yay.
And like, take that, fuck you. Shut up. Vicky told Blanche, if you got a problem, you feeling froggy, let's take it outside.
Yes.
Let's handle it.
Yeah.
Jump, bird lady.
Yeah.
Let's do
fucked
it.
around. Time to find out.
Oh, Blanche, she recoils. Because she's an evil gossip.
Yeah.
And she's good at lording gossip over people's heads. She's good at blackmailing people with their own dirt. She's good at snaking people behind their backs. She is not built for physical fights.
No, she's a coward.
Especially not from a young woman that has clearly been wanting to fuck her up for a very long time.
Yeah.
Like, they don't go into the details about the relationship between Blanche and Vicky, but if like a 20-something is ready to get into your ass that bad, she has disliked you for a very long time.
Yes.
And she is excited
Yeah.
to take advantage of the fact that we are now both grown ups.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Blanche tried to regroup. And Vicky got into her face again.
Mm-hmm.
And told Blanche, look, I'm on to you, bitch.
Nice.
I'm on to you. I know exactly what kind of viper you are. All you do is nitpick, start drama, worry the family, worry grandma. All you do is fuck shit up.
Yeah.
Nobody else may see it.
Mm-hmm.
But I do, heifer. I see you for your works, bitch.
Yes.
I see you for your works.
Mm-hmm.
By this point, Grandma Isla has come back to the kitchen. She's kind of hovering in the same spot that Vicky had been hovering like 5 minutes before. Blanche sees Isla, and she gives her the look like, handle this.
Mm-hmm.
Come get this wayward child.
Yeah.
Don't let this child, talk to another adult like this.
Yeah.
Grandma Isla just stands there. She doesn't smile. She doesn't say anything one way or another.
Yeah.
But it is clear that she is not going to back Blanche up on this.
No, just let nature take its course.
And if Vicky gonna beat your ass, then Vicky gonna beat your ass.
It's just the way it has to be.
Sorry.
Oops.
Yeah, Isla just watched. Blanche was so mad that she pushed past Grandma Isla, left the family home in her borrowed Kroger company car.
Yeah.
And drove off. And as Blanche drives away, Grandma Isla tells her, never turn your back on that woman.
Mm.
And see.
Yeah, true.
Oh, we're going to take a little bit of a break from Blanche and the Taylor family.
Whew. I think we need it.
I mean,
Blanche is a lot.
She's going to fuck with this family for 21 years.
Oh, poor family.
But we're going to take a break. We're going to let them have a little respite.
Yes.
From Blanche. Talk about Blanche Taylor and Raymond Reed.
Okay. These are such made for TV. Like, I feel like I'm in a Perry Mason. Raymond Reed. It could be the actor, it could be the character. Blanche Taylor, definitely character.
Although when I was like young, we're talking like 10, 11 years old,
Yeah.
one of my biggest crushes was Raymond Burr.
Not a bad choice.
And oh, the tween-aged angst that I could not get a Perry Mason or a Paul Drake poster to mix amongst my Kirk Cameron, Bobby Brown, New Edition, Kool Mo D, LL Cool J posters.
Right?
And I could not get a Raymond Burr to mix amongst them.
Not get him in your harem.
It's always a sore spot of contention for me. But I did have to face the facts that, there's not a big market for middle-aged men in the 50s for teenage girls in the late
Tiger Beat.
Yeah, there wasn't a big
she
market.
Wants a poster of what?
I feel like I was being singular in my taste.
Oh my god.
But then also it makes sense because Raymond Burr was as gay as the day is long. Like, on some level, I'm like, he's part of my tribe.
Yeah,
I don't know
him and me, we would so vibe.
We would
just
hang
vibe.
out.
Yes.
It would be the best.
Yeah.
Love me some Raymond. But no, this is Raymond Reed. I don't know his middle name, but I can tell you it's not as good as Napoleon.
Nothing is going to be as good as that. Very little.
James Napoleon Taylor.
Yes.
So 1962 was also the year that Raymond Reed entered Blanche's life. So Raymond, he's always Raymond.
Okay.
He is never a
I
Ray.
respect that.
So annoying because he has a son that's named after him that's Ray Jr. Ray Jr. So he gets to be the Ray.
Yeah.
So the boy is Ray and the dad is Raymond. I mean, it works, but
yeah, someone has to be the Raymond.
But Raymond's just a long name, and I got tired of typing it, and then I couldn't cop out because then I would eventually confuse the father and the son.
Oh God!
So Raymond, who was 27 to Blanche is now 29, was hired as an assistant manager at the Kroger.
Okay.
This Kroger is a very big deal. This
Right.
Kroger is like kind of in between Durham and Burlington.
Okay.
Burlington. It's kind of in between. Yeah.
Burlington?
Yeah, Burlington.
Yeah. I know Durham and Burlington is hard to say because you're going to see it be like Birmingham.
Yes. So it's kind of in between there. So, they've moved to their bigger, greener pastures.
Yeah.
Now, when you think of the term company man, you looked up company man in a dictionary.
Yeah.
Raymond Reed is the man that they would have in that picture.
Oh my God. I just imagine like in a plastic box like Ken.
He's tallish, broad moon pie face.
Yeah.
Wide smile. Haircut hasn't changed since the 5th grade.
Wow.
Little part with a swoop to the left. Here, I will show you. Let me find. I love it when I have enough presence of mind to tee these things up early in the show. So. Raymond Reed. This is Raymond Reed.
Oh my goodness.
If you looked up company man in the dictionary,
Yeah.
this is what if you thought company man 1960s,
Right? Yeah.
you would expect a version of this.
Yes.
He could be blonde, he could be redhead, but he will still
Yeah.
have the style.
Yeah.
And with the website all being done, we can
He's
actually
like
put
straight
pictures
out of a
there.
JCPenney catalog.
Yes.
But real regular.
Yeah. And now that the website's done, we can post these pictures and things.
Oh,
for
that's
you.
true.
Yay! So Raymond is very strict. He's very strict. He's a company man.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody knows the ins and outs of the rules of Kroger.
Yeah.
Like Raymond Reed.
Yes, I've studied the manual.
In triplicate.
Right.
And could quote it in triplicate. He records phone calls. That's what kind of a company
Oh
man
my
he is.
God.
But we'll get there later.
Okay.
But he's also nice.
Mm-hmm.
He's a firm but good boss.
Cool.
People like him. And unlike the other managers in Blanche, Raymond is on the short list of people that took Kroger's sexual harassment policy seriously
Wow.
in 1962.
Like that must be like the first policy.
You know what's funny? What I've learned going through some of these cases, especially the ones from the 50s and 60s, the policies were there and nobody cared. Nobody cared about this type of shit until like the 80s. But the policies were on paper.
Yeah.
Nobody ever enforced them.
Huh.
That's
Wow,
crazy.
I mean,
But it's weird. You think that like, oh no, we didn't care about this until the 80s. No, we cared before. Just nobody gave a shit to enforce the rule.
Yeah.
But they at least put it on paper.
Mm-hmm.
So Raymond was born in Danville, North Carolina.
Okay. Danville.
Danville.
Yeah.
Danville?
Danville.
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 Okay.
Well, I don't know. If it was from my neck of Appalachia, it's Danville.
Look,
And I'm guessing it is here too.
look, I'm a northerner, so I can't help but say Danville. Because
fair.
that's exactly what that word looks like. There is no U.
That's fair.
There's
I
no
know.
U in this word.
Louisville.
There's a U in Louisville, though.
Yeah.
Louis.
Louisville.
There's a U.
Yeah.
There's at least
At the beginning.
there is a U in it, which means I can give it a pass pronunciation-wise.
But Danville has no O in it.
So it's harder for me to give that a pass because the vowels make no sense.
That's fair.
I can't help it. I'm a northerner who's a stickler for enunciation. So he's born in Danville.
Nice. No, you can't go. It's okay to say Danville.
I know, but I tried at least once.
See how it feels. No.
No.
Feels really strange.
Felt weird in the back of the throat. Don't like it at all. But he grew up the only child of a poor, stern, but loving parents. Mm-hmm. Raymond graduated from high school third in his class.
Nice.
And received a scholarship to the University of Virginia for his efforts.
Nice.
Unfortunately, Raymond would not be able to take advantage of his scholarship.
Oh, why is that?
His family's dirt fucking poor. He's got to work.
Oh, yeah. That would do it.
So, here we are. Now, Raymond had gotten a job at Kroger as a bag boy when he was 16. A little after-school job. And his manager took a liking to him as a very serious, studious boy.
Yes.
And introduced him to the management training program.
Man, back when they did that.
Right? No, and you know what? You can feel bad that his family circumstances didn't allow him to take advantage of a full scholarship. Mm-hmm. But God damn it, every inch of learnedness that he would have put in that University of Virginia scholarship, he put into this Kroger management training program.
Good for him.
Same fucking energy.
Good.
Which, yeah.
How could you not?
Right. So he learns the grocery business inside and out. You can't tell him shit.
Nice.
About the grocery industry, especially at Kroger.
Yeah. Go Raymond.
In 1960, at 25, Raymond becomes the assistant manager at his first store via the training program. Nice. The first thing he does after getting his assignment is he goes back to his hometown where he marries 18-year-old Linda.
Okay.
A young woman that he had been seeing before Kroger moved him into the training program. For her part, Linda had her eyes on Raymond Reed from the moment they met at a dance.
Ah.
She was 14 and he was 21.
Ooh.
Don't know why.
It's a different time.
Different time. They were not at the same dance. I don't think they should not have been at the same dance.
I know.
You know what, though? If it wasn't for some of these problematic age gaps in the 40s, 50s, and 60s, some of us wouldn't even be here.
True.
Like, let's not look too firmly at Grandma and Pop's wedding certificates.
I will content myself with the fact that people nowadays know to go, ew. Then it was fine, but now we know, ew.
Yeah. The couple started dating when Linda was 16 and Raymond was 23.
Okay.
It's still a little ew, but like, no.
It is what it is.
I still don't know how they ended up at the same dance, but I'm gonna let it live. I'm gonna let it live. I'm gonna let it live. Let it live. Because Linda came from a religious family, Linda and Raymond had to sneak around to date. I honestly think that's less about religion and more about the fact that you're 16 and he's 23.
Yeah.
No. Get away from my high school age child, college age boy.
Let her finish school.
Let her fuck a 16-year-old.
Yeah, or let her finish growing.
Something, just go away.
Yeah.
She puts it up to her family's religious tendencies. I'm wondering if that's just how she makes herself feel better. Linda was a top student, much like Raymond, and her parents wanted her to pursue college. But
nice.
When Raymond came back to Danville with an assistant manager's badge and the paycheck to boot,
sweep her off her feet.
Honestly, her parents couldn't say boo.
Yeah.
These aren't wealthy people. And as much as they would have wanted their daughter to go to college, she showed up with a man with a career and the salary that is ready, willing, and able to support her.
Yeah.
And the family.
Yeah.
Right out the bat.
That'll work.
So, considering the time that they're living in, it was probably very difficult for her family to try to force college on her when this boy has showed up with a very certain future.
That's true.
And Linda knew where she wanted to spend the rest of her life. It was with Raymond Reed, goddamn, she can't tell her nothing.
Had her eye on him.
After they were married, the couple moved to Durham, and Linda was soon pregnant with their first son, Ray Jr.
Nice.
A few months later, Raymond was transferred to a new store in High Point.
Mm-hmm.
Sure. The couple was excited about the move. Durham is a little closer to Danville, so they were actually looking forward to like moving more to a bigger place. And
Durham is definitely that step.
yeah, no, they're moving from Durham to High Point.
Nice.
So they're moving further away from home.
Mm-hmm.
It may not be as big of a city as Durham, but
it's further away.
It's further away. They get more independence.
Yeah.
Maybe because Linda's so young, not as much parental meddling.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
So they're excited. Raymond moved first to High Point, and when he got there, he found them a rental home, got that sorted, and then came for her and the baby later.
Mm-hmm.
So he's making it real hard for her parents to object.
Yeah.
Even though I'm sure they still did.
Yeah.
But I guess if you're going to let your 16-year-old run off with a 25-year-old...
Right, at least he's a steady, stable one.
Decent guy.
Yeah.
I guess he's a good one.
Yeah.
If you've got to let
also, that
happen.
age gap, not out of the ordinary.
No, it's not completely freaky.
But for parents, good for them for, having ambitions for their daughter going to college.
Right.
Yeah.
Because this would have,
That's very progressive.
Yeah, this is the early 60s.
Yeah.
It was an exciting time for Raymond and Linda. One tiny problem.
Uh-oh, what's that?
The management style that Raymond is learning at the Kroger is starting to seep into home life.
Oh no. She's an employee.
And just like he is at home, he is kind. He is at work. He is kind. He is friendly. He is honest. He is fair.
Yeah.
But there is no question who is the boss.
Yeah.
There is no question what the hierarchy is, who does what, and who is in charge.
Yeah.
So he's controlling in a loving way.
Benevolent patriarchy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and again, because she's young, it's not chafing on her yet.
No.
By the time Raymond reached Blanche's store, he had left the training program and is a well-seasoned manager. And everywhere he goes, he is tough, but he's kind and he is fair. The minute Raymond set foot into Blanche's store, he sized Blanche up. He knew exactly what she was about.
Yeah.
This is a good-looking, ambitious woman who's not above sleeping around with her male coworkers.
Yes. There's a whole chapter on women like you, ma'am.
Yes. And he found Blanche boring. He's run into a million of them.
Yeah.
So her antics with the office gossip and hooking up with the produce manager,
Yeah.
He doesn't find her interesting, and he doesn't find her shocking.
Because there's one in every store.
Right. And Blanche kind of wants to be shocking.
Yeah.
That whole, well, we went to church. Ooh, I'd like to see the dick on him.
Yeah.
Anyway, the good book said in Psalms 14:12.
Yeah.
She wants to be provocative in her way. And the fact that he doesn't find her as such is probably what makes her like him. He is unimpressed by her bullshit.
I have to work for this one.
And everybody else isn't. Whether you're completely off-put and find her a snake, or you're kind of into her.
Yeah.
You have a strong feeling about her one way or another.
True.
And so for Raymond to be like, yep, there were 3 of you at my last shop.
Right?
There were 2 more in the shop before that.
Yes.
I'm surprised there's only 1 at this one.
Right. I recognize you, ma'am.
So, again, there are rules against fraternization, sexual harassment. Just nobody cares to enforce them at this day and age.
Yeah.
But the rules were there. And Raymond didn't bother enforcing the fraternization rules as long as it didn't interfere with the work at hand.
Mm.
He let it go. Not the anthill he is willing to die on at all. But Raymond did take a liking to Blanche, but he made it clear, we are work homies.
Yeah.
I'm a happily married man with children.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want your puss.
Right.
I got plenty of hot young thing at home.
Mm-hmm.
Did I mention my wife was 16 when we got married?
Yeah.
So when I say I got
a child,
like when I say I got hot young thing,
yeah,
I mean it. In all due reference, I got a hot young thing at home. Miss 29.
Yeah.
Stop it. Stop it. So he had no intentions of sleeping with Blanche or anything, even though he thought she was cool.
Yeah.
They would be work besties, and Blanche would even become friendly with Linda.
Okay.
When Linda was pregnant with their second son, Stevie, in 1964, Blanche threw the baby shower.
Oh, okay.
6 months after the baby shower, James fell off the wagon.
Ooh.
And it made a thud.
Oh, no.
He hit hard. Like it was pavement, no
Ooh.
cushion.
Ooh.
What drove him over the edge is that he had been hearing rumors around town that Blanche was having an affair with an assistant manager at work. And James, in all of his drunken fury one day, came by the Kroger because he was trying to catch Blanche in the act.
Yeah.
James asked the checker, he's all drunk, bleh, bleh. Go and get Blanche out the back. Yeah.
Yeah.
Blanche comes out. Her and James talk outside. No one knows what they talked about, but Blanche had a very furrowed brow and was furiously shaking her head. No, she was very upset by this. The conversation definitely looked tense. Blanche comes back into the store. James follows and starts screaming, "Get him out here! Get him out here right now!" He don't even know who the him is.
Just whoever he is, get him.
I mean, the rumor is that she's having an affair with an assistant manager. A big store like Kroger has at least 3 of those. So get him, one of these assistants out here.
Yeah, anyone. I don't care.
So Raymond came out. He was the assistant in charge at the moment. And he greeted him with a, "Hello there, Mr. Taylor. How can I help you?" Company man.
Yes.
1, he ain't doing nothing wrong.
Yeah, right?
2, this man is clearly visibly upset and drunk.
Yeah.
All I can give you is, "How can I help you, Mr. Taylor?"
It is the only opening gambit.
So James is screaming at them, and he's, "You fucking my wife, boy." James is approaching 40. Raymond's like 27-ish, 28. He's boy.
Yeah.
"Fucking my wife, boy." And so now Blanche has to get involved.
Yeah.
So she's trying to back James off of Raymond. And because remember, James is a very talented carpenter.
Yes.
But he doesn't always get a lot of work. Which is why Blanche had to get the job at Kroger.
Yeah.
To fill in what seemed to be some not insignificant gaps in James's income. So she goes off, and if she's like, "You were going to lose me this job, and I cannot support you or our 2 babies if you lose me this job."
Yeah.
Coming up here acting stupid.
Right?
Cursing at people. I ain't fucking nobody. She's fucking plenty of people.
Yeah.
But in this moment, she ain't doing nothing to nobody.
Yeah.
And with Raymond's help, she's eventually able to kind of push him out of the store, off of Kroger property, and send him home to sleep it off.
Jesus.
A few weeks after James's outburst, Raymond is promoted from assistant to store manager.
Oh.
And this moment is what makes Blanche decide, "I'm going to have an affair with Raymond Reed." Yes. Yeah. And so she steps up the effort to seduce him double time. I mean, when he first got to the store, she put out the feeler.
Yeah.
He clearly wasn't interested. There's plenty of other dudes for her to fuck.
True.
But now that he got a promotion,
Yeah.
she would very much like to have an affair with him. To get to Raymond, Blanche decided to stay away from her usual tactic.
Mm-hmm.
Her usual tactic is that kind of sexy church lady thing.
Yes.
Where she can hang out with the boys and tell ballad jokes about
Yeah.
sucking dick and
Yeah.
eating puss. Yada, yada, yada. She can talk dirty.
Yeah.
And then sports. Then go back to, how you doing, Miss
Cool
Smith? And that seems to be what traps most of these guys into her orbit. That's not going to work with Raymond. No. Now, for Raymond, piety will be the key to his heart.
God.
Because Blanche had discovered through their friendly conversations that Raymond was in the process of rededicating himself to his faith.
Oh, he's about to be born again.
And part of that was televangelism.
No. In his infancy.
And Blanche likes to watch the Jimmy Swaggart and the Jim Baker and insert whatever local guys are doing the same thing.
Or is Franklin Graham the son?
Billy Graham.
Billy Graham, yeah.
And then there's local versions of that of those guys too. So they're both like, did you watch the Jimmy Swaggart this morning?
Oh my God. Mm-hmm.
And swapping stories about the Word that morning because they're watching the same TV shows. They're listening to the same Christian radio.
Yeah, this is a determined manipulator.
And that's how she's going to get into his pants.
First you get into his head, then you get into his pants.
Through the Lord.
Yeah. Praise me.
Praise be, I'm going to get me some dick from Raymond Reed. All praise. All praise.
Amen.
All praise to him who fills me with penis. All praise. All praise.
God is good.
All the time. No, Raymond was all business. Even though, Blanche, they're having their conversations, he's enjoying it, but he is still very much committed to his wife and his two boys.
Yeah.
And he is not going to fall for this. This is just pleasant conversation with his homegirl about the Lord. Leaving Blanche to find another way to get into Raymond's pants. She wants it.
Yeah.
She wants to see the dick on this one.
If I have to get into bass fishing, I will.
True story. Ready, Jeannie?
Yes.
Because it's time to finally talk about the sad, slow demise of James Napoleon Taylor.
That'll never not be funny. But
I
that
see
is
fire, I see rain.
Sad and slow indeed.
Right. Also, I don't think singer James Taylor's middle name is Napoleon, which makes
he
him...
wishes! His music would be so much more rad if it was.
Which automatically makes him the lesser James Taylor.
There would have been some pepper in his music if he was Napoleon.
I just love, that's the most aspirational middle name for this family of working poor. It's Napoleon.
It's like Napoleon and D'Artagnan.
I'm telling you, it's right up there with Jake the Snake's Robert's real first name being Aurelian.
I love it.
It's like,
wow.
Okay. I don't know what bag you were in when you put that up, but I'm here for it. Didn't see that coming.
Yeah.
But I'm here for I'm here for it. So September of 1966, Blanche's father, the Reverend P.D. Kaiser, is dead.
Oh, that's right.
Finally, it happened to me. P.D. Kaiser is dead. He's not pimping his children.
Oh, God.
I mean, you know what? Fuck P.D.
Yeah. Nothing of value was lost.
Yeah. I mean, Blanche and her siblings lost their father. Yeah. But Blanche probably wasn't the only daughter he pimped.
Ugh, right? If you can do it to one.
Exactly. Now, his death was ruled a heart attack. But somebody probably should have looked into the old pervert's death
Really?
a bit more. Um, yeah, heart attack is an accurate cause of death in the sense that his heart did stop and then he died.
Yes.
Like in the very technical way.
That is what happened. Yes.
But the events leading up to the old pervert's death probably called for more investigation than what was given. We don't know everything that happened in the hours before PD died. But what we do know is this. PD got a hospital visit from Blanche at some point during the day that he died. We don't know when. Anywhere from 2 to 6 hours before he died. He got a visit from her. He had been admitted to a small community hospital for complications of emphysema.
Okay.
And during that visit, Blanche dosed her father with arsenic.
Ooh.
Most likely in his food.
Yeah.
Skipping ahead a little bit, we know this because later PD's going to be exhumed.
Ooh. Oh, you know I love a good exclamation.
And that's how we know that he was dosed with arsenic.
Yeah.
So while this is all conjecture, it is what makes the most sense.
Yeah.
He got a visit from Blanche. She dosed him with arsenic, most likely in his food or drink.
Yeah.
Approximately 30 minutes after getting a dose of arsenic, Petey's breath would have smelled of garlic.
That's an interesting detail.
It's the kind of weird thing that but it could also just be put up to old man breath.
Right? What'd you have for lunch?
Right. Within the next hour or so, PD would have experienced rice water diarrhea and projectile vomiting.
Ooh.
Then his skin would have begun to go pale within 2 hours of receiving that dose. Pale with purplish blue undertones, like you're strangling or bruised really badly. Then he would have broken out into a cold sweat that was accompanied by deep, painful stomach cramps. The stomach cramps would have left him in writhing agony until his brain began to swell and he would suffer hallucinations.
Ooh.
Within 24 hours, the arsenic would have worked its way into Petey's bloodstream, stomach, intestines, and bones. By this time, the arsenic would have been so deep in his system that his bones would only accept arsenic instead of the sulfur that our bodies use to keep our bones strong. By 30 hours in, the arsenic would have been entering his hair, working its way slowly out of the system.
Yeah.
The only place on PD's body that probably was not being ravaged by arsenic poisoning was the blood-brain barrier.
Ooh. Dang.
Although, he probably would have wished that it did cross the blood-brain barrier. Because if it had, he wouldn't have had to have been conscious through all of this.
Yeah.
Conscious and aware.
Yikes. Oh, that's awful.
For what I can only imagine a slow, horrifyingly confusing, painful death.
Definitely not like the movies.
No, just and you're dead.
I
No,
know, right?
Arsenic poisoning.
We have 44 minutes.
Because in reality, it's a motherfucker.
Yeah.
So he may have been given. It could have taken him anywhere from 6 to 30 hours to die, to go through that.
Wow.
That entire process. But we know that Blanche had to have visited him.
Yeah.
And she probably fed him something. And it took anywhere from 4 to 6 hours for his symptoms to start to hit.
Yeah.
And at least 24 to 30 hours to finally die. And then that's when his heart stopped. Killing him. Which is what's said on his birth certificate.
Yeah.
Or death certificate. So it is true, he died of a heart attack. His heart stopped and he died.
Yeah.
But nobody looked for arsenic at that time.
Yeah. It's kind of like if you hear, what do they say? If you hear hoofbeats out in the night, you assume it's horses and
Don't
not
think of
zebras.
zebras.
And doesn't like 1 in 3 men die of like a heart attack?
Yes.
So, I won't call them lazy or necessarily incurious. It's so just this looks so routine, so regular.
Yeah, and he also had emphysema, which means he was already kind of doped up. They may have thought it was something else going on with him.
Just, this is a sick guy dying. This is what's happening.
Right. By May of 1969, Blanche is impressed when her dad dies. I mean,
I don't blame her.
I don't blame her, but, she goes through the motions of her sympathy, but, whatever. So by May of 1969, James was finally back on the upswing. He had stopped drinking, and he spent all of his spare time with his family or doing church stuff.
Okay, it's a direction.
Sadly, it didn't take much to scratch the surface and see that James Taylor was a troubled man with an equally troubled marriage.
Oh, no.
One Sunday, James was dressed and trying to get the girls out to church.
Mm-hmm.
Blanche had been out doing Lord only knows what, with God only knows who, and had just come home at 4 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
And now she's running late for church. We still gotta go.
Yeah.
And appearances are very important.
Right? It's everything.
James told Blanche, get in the car, but she was too busy fussing with the belt on her coat. She's lagging ass. James is getting frustrated. Get in the car already. Their daughters watched from the back seat as their parents bickered about being late for church.
Mm-hmm.
Finally, James asked Blanche, where the goddamn hell were you last night? Blanche told James she would not have him swearing and using the Lord's name in vain in front of these children on this good Sunday. So, I'm mad that instead of it says it out fucking, she was like, I will not have you swear on the Lord's day on the Sabbath.
Rough language in front of my children.
On the Sabbath. James Napoleon Taylor.
It's like, you phony.
Right? Finally fed up with Blanche and her puttering, James got out of the driver's seat, walked along to the passenger side, opened the door, and kind of shoved Blanche in. He shoved her so hard she banged her head a little bit on the hood of the car. He says, get in there. Get in there. I'm imagining just shoving her by the head like a golden retriever that doesn't want to go to the vet. Just get in there. Get in there.
Right.
Now, as Blanche tried to right herself as she's getting in the car, James starts, he's pushed her in, and now he's going around to the driver's side. Now they're screaming, they're fighting in the driveway. But even as he's walking out to the other side, to the driver's side, she manages to get herself out of the car. But as she gets out of the car, the door slams, and she falls over on her butt in the driveway.
Yeah.
And now the car has her coat.
Oh.
James is not paying attention to the fact that Blanche has fallen out of the car trying to get out and has fallen on her butt. And he backs out of the driveway.
No.
Yes. And Blanche is on the ground in such a way that she can't sit up to get the door handle.
Yeah.
And this is the 60s, so when the door handle.
Oh, yeah, that's a mile away.
Right, but you also have to push the button and pull out at the same time. So she can get her hand on the handle, but she can't do that fine motor movement of pushing the button. So she's stuck. That man drug her down the block. She was able to grab enough of the handle to pull herself to her knees.
Yeah.
But he dragged her about a half block.
Oh my God.
Out the driveway screaming, with the rest of the block just watching Blanche being drugged down the street on her knees in her good coat.
Thank God. If it was not for that coat, I mean, she might have been free, but I'm guessing that saved her from a lot of road rash.
He finally realized
Yeah.
that he was dragging her for a block.
Yikes.
I'm just imagining he's like, "Ah!"
Wait, these aren't the usual screeches.
And after about a block, he drugged this bitch for a block.
Wow.
James stopped the car, got Blanche in her coat free to shove her ass in the car, and they went to church.
Oh my god.
They went to fucking church. Fuck it. We ain't missing the Lord's Day.
Exactly. We are a happy, normal family. And we are going to church.
That's why I said you didn't have to scratch the surface. I'm sure people thought James was doing great.
Yeah.
He had quit drinking.
Yeah.
He's real devoted to both his nuclear and extended family.
Yeah.
He's more active in the church. He's doing his photography stuff.
Yeah.
Like, on the outside, he looks like he is thriving.
Yeah.
Especially if you've known him through all the, like, fall-down drunk days.
Yes.
You know, hollering in front of the Kroger, "Who are you fucking?"
Yeah. This is a new man.
Yeah. But don't look too close. Because it's as dysfunctional as ever.
Yeah.
James cleaned up his act, though. Drug her for a block. And I shouldn't laugh, because that's horrible.
It is, but...
It's Blanche.
It's like, it's karma kind of like, yeah.
It's Blanche.
Yeah, no.
She's been cheating on you left, right, and sideways for 20 years. It's the only time I've ever, like, he literally dragged her.
Yeah.
He dragged her for real. When they finally got Blanche in the car and on the road to church, the Taylors were forced to turn around because the Greensboro uprising was kicking off.
Oh.
The Greensboro uprising was the result of a segregated black high school, who a black student won the election for student government in a write-in landslide. Mm-hmm. And because the powers that be in that segregated school were afraid of the Black Power movement, they wouldn't acknowledge that black students win in student government.
Mm. Oh, jeez.
And then they were afraid of the children.
As they do, time immemorial.
And then the National Guard is called.
Of course.
The uprising would last from May 21st through the 25th.
Wow.
One student will be killed.
Mm.
And it's still unclear if that person was killed by protesters or cops.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what they ran into on their way to church.
That's a heck of a roadblock.
And so the cops turned the Taylor family around. They kind of explained what happened.
Yeah.
You can't go this way. Well, they went home, but James is like, "I'm going to get my gun and go back to town."
Oh, no.
Now, it's unclear where James would have been. I don't know if he was getting his gun and trying to go back down because he's like a purebred racist segregationist and he just wants an excuse to fire off shots at Negroes.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's one of those people that wanted to go back because he's a sicko looky-loo.
Mm.
Those people exist.
Oh, absolutely.
You know?
There's whole industries that thrive on them.
I mean, to put it in context, there are people that probably would not consider themselves racist that still went to lynching picnics.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, those people do exist.
Mm-hmm.
So, since it's not explored, I'm not going to call James Napoleon Taylor an out-and-out racist.
Yeah.
There were other reasons for him wanting to get a gun and go down there from being a looky-loo.
Yeah.
The best case scenario that he's a looky-loo that just decided to bring his gun to look cool.
Yeah.
And just to be around the action. Worst case, he's a stone cold racist, and he was looking to get some shots.
Yeah.
And I can't, and there's also a lot of other complicated bullshit in between that I can't confirm or deny with him.
To his credit and detriment.
Yeah. And so, that is where I'll leave it. James would make it home, but just as he was ready to head out to where the action was, he was stopped in his tracks by violent diarrhea and projectile vomiting.
Oh, no.
So bad that James drove himself to the hospital.
Wow.
At the hospital, James was told that he had suffered a mild heart attack and that he would have to slow down
Yeah.
if he didn't want to avoid another one.
Yes.
And this is the insidious thing about arsenic.
Mm-hmm.
It mimics so many other things. Arsenic is not diarrhea and projectile vomiting.
Yeah.
They were like, oh, he had a heart attack.
Yeah.
Was probably, he'd probably gotten his first dose of something within maybe in the 8 to 12 hours beforehand.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, your heart's going to elevate when that type of shit happens.
Yeah.
And it read as a heart attack. But it probably wasn't.
We know now.
Meanwhile, back at Kroger, because Kroger's just a hotbed of making fuck.
Well, you know what? Kroger was one of the places to be when I was in college in the one horse town I was in. It was open 24 hours, baby.
Oh man, this particular Kroger is a hotbed of making fuck.
Yes, it is.
Blanche is finally making headway with Raymond.
Oh my god.
They were
Raymond,
friends,
you fool.
but they hadn't become lovers yet. Blanche also tried staying friendly with Linda by hiring the Reed boys to do yard work and stuff that was not proper for her girls to be doing. But James was too sick to do after his heart attack. So mow the lawn, pull the weeds, wash the car. It's too much for James, but not appropriate for Vanessa and Cindy. By this time, there were problems in the Reed marriage as well.
Oh.
After almost a decade of marriage, Linda Reed began to chafe under her husband's kind and loving control.
Yes.
He's never mean. He's never mean. He's never cruel, but he's definitely a control freak.
Yes.
Or if not a control freak, very into the
authoritarian.
Very into the hierarchy of I am the husband, I am the father.
Yeah.
What I say
is law. It goes.
And he ran their household just like he ran his fucking Kroger store.
Yeah. Ugh.
But the same kind sternness that makes people like him at work doesn't go over as well with your wife.
It's like you're not mean to me, but I would rather you respect me.
Yeah.
See me as an equal instead of a subordinate.
Yeah.
The employee at home.
Yeah. However, Linda's approaching her 30s. She's been with Raymond since she was 14.
I know. Ugh.
He was like 23.
Yeah.
She was 14. He's literally all she knows.
Yeah.
But she's not a dumb woman by any stretch of the image. She can read books, magazines, newspapers. And even as the stay-at-home spouse, as she got older, and she does have access to information, he's not that kind of asshole.
True.
She developed her own thoughts and feelings and views on the world. And some of which didn't line up with what he thought.
Yeah.
And he doesn't want to discuss their differences of opinion and have an adult conversation and continue to get to know his wife as she evolves from teenage bride to young woman.
Yeah. He likes the employee.
Yeah.
I don't want a co-manager. Are you kidding me?
Wait,
quick question. Do they have kids, right?
Yeah, they have 2 kids.
Let me guess. She's got a daughter now about her age.
No, they have 2 boys.
Okay.
Stevie
Are
and
they
Ray
about
Jr.
her age when she started dating, what's his name?
Mate, they're tweens.
I've heard an interesting theory about some teen child brides.
Mm-hmm.
Like when they have a child, typically a daughter, but I think it works with sons too. But when their kid gets to be their age, they start to have oh my God.
Do I want this for my children?
If a man that age came to my child, or a woman that age, if an adult tried to get into a contract or an adult situation with sometimes that's what turns that light bulb on, and they rebel and they get the fuck out.
That could be it. Because her sons, they're doing the yard work over at the Taylor house.
If they're 13 or 14.
They're tween age.
Yeah.
I'm not sure exactly.
And she's like, they are babies.
Because, and I can't be bothered to go all that back far into my notes to tell you approximately how old Stevie and Ray Jr. would be.
Yeah.
In like 69.
But she's almost 30.
Yeah.
They're if they're not teens, they're almost.
Yeah, they're tween and teenage.
Because I can't remember she got pregnant right away.
No, I think she may have been 17, 18 by the first one.
So that maybe like 12, 11. But
Yeah.
getting to that age.
Yeah, they're tween age, bare minimum. So she had her own feelings about the world now.
Yeah.
Her own thoughts.
Yes. She's grown up. Like, literally.
And she wanted to create some sort of independence.
Yeah. Good for her.
Outside of being a stay-at-home mom and partner. Her boys are growing up.
Yeah.
She's interested in things. She wants to take a crochet class. She wants to learn to pot.
Yeah.
She wants to do stuff.
Yeah.
And while the words were never spoken, through their increasingly impersonal actions, it seemed that Ray was making it pretty clear to Linda that he wouldn't be heartbroken if she left. So they're increasingly more employer-employee in their relationship, and he is just as impersonal with her as he is with the people at the Kroger.
Yeah.
Probably even more so.
Yeah. Shame on him.
So that's when Linda starts getting itchy feet in her marriage.
Good for her.
And Blanche concludes that Raymond is everything she ever wanted in a man.
You're my new goal.
Blanche wants to explain to a coworker that she was a strong woman, both by nature and by circumstance. True.
Yeah. Can't deny that.
And she had to be strong for her family. James wasn't always the best husband.
True.
Blah, 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 blah. And she said most men can't handle a strong woman like her because they're too weak.
Yeah, I'll hand it to her.
And Blanche can't stand a weak man. She needs someone strong enough in themselves that they can handle being next to an equally strong woman.
Yeah.
You let Blanche Taylor tell it, Raymond Reed is that man.
I know, that seems so unlikely, doesn't it?
Yeah. But that's what she thinks.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess if you compare him to James.
Or, she's just projecting a fantasy onto him.
Yeah, he is just the next conquest. She is just the thing that he wants next.
Yeah.
Look at the dick on him.
I know. But it's so funny, her looking to him like, this is the man who's going to respect me as an equal. And here he is annoyed that his child bride's having independent thoughts.
I know, right?
Him?
Right? By November 1970, his marriage was the least of James's problems. His mother, Isla, was 83 and becoming increasingly ill with heart and lung issues. And just being 83.
Yeah, that'll do it.
She passed on November 25th, 1973. In the last few moments of her life, Isla Taylor sat up bolt right in bed. They said her eyes were so big you could no longer see the pupils.
Oh my God.
And they were just huge cobalt blue balls in her head.
Oh my God.
The arsenic was starting to knock at the door of her systems.
Oh.
Her cause of death was ruled a heart attack. Just like with P.D. Kaiser before her.
Yeah.
That's true. Technically.
Yeah.
Her heart did stop and she died.
Yes.
But when she's later exhumed, that cause of death will come into question.
Wow.
With the amount of arsenic that will be found in her system later.
Yikes.
Told you I'm not going to bury the lead on this one.
I know, it's contagious.
Blanche is contagious.
Yeah, I know, right?
Blanche is contagious.
She's the contagion.
In 1971, Raymond and Linda Reed filed for divorce. Now Blanche finally has an end. I want some action, tender satisfaction. My chemistry is jumping. Can you cause a chain reaction? Yes. She about that.
Yeah. My moment has come.
But she decided not to do what she does with all the other guys that she fucks at the store, the delivery drivers, whatever. No. She gonna best friend him to death.
Aww.
Yeah. Once she found out he was gonna get a divorce, she stepped it up. She was gonna hit his best friend, confidant, and suitor.
Yes. We get in there and keep everyone away.
Oh, she stepped up the religious aspect of their friendship.
Oh, yeah.
Remember, one of the things that makes them friends is that they're both fans of Jimmy Swaggart and Jim Baker. These are the people that will buy slot buckets when they're in their 80s, like that.
Yeah.
Right? Sadly, Raymond's not going to make it that long, but these are the people that would be buying Jim Baker buckets.
Yeah.
Now. And she was encouraging Raymond to watch more televangelicals with her.
Oh my God.
That's their kiki. Did you watch Swaggart this morning?
It's so funny. Oh my God. You know what? I could understand why it appealed to people when they had so little. What, 3 channels, 4 channels?
Yeah.
And the radio.
Well, she said Raymond needed to watch the televangelicals with her because they would help ease the loneliness and confusion that he was experiencing as a product of his divorce.
Let me heal you with my vagina.
My pussy and Jimmy Swaggart.
Yeah, right.
All right.
Oh God, I bet that has been someone's Saturday night too many times.
Just fucking
right after the Grand Ole Opry, we'll watch some Swagger and get
and just bang it out.
Do it like they do on the Discovery Channel.
I haven't thought of them in Bloodhound Gang in forever.
I will always love that song.
And you know what's funny?
As only a 20-year-old could.
You know what's funny? The next thing I thought was the next line is, I'm getting horny now.
Watching X-Files where we do it doggy style.
I've done that.
You know what? Are you the lost generation if you didn't?
True story. I also did that with Spartacus, too. It was coming towards the season finale, and I really needed to watch that.
Well, Ryan Coogler's bringing back X-Files. And I'm here for it.
I'll let him.
I think he'll do a great job. It has so much potential. I
wasn't such a devotee of the show that I'm overly excited about it, but I like Ryan Coogler.
Well, its time has passed.
Yeah.
And, I would be really interested to see, a modern rendition of the X-Files. That would be fun.
Well, so it's I wasn't such a devotee of the original that I'm excited about it, but I like Ryan Coogler enough to, give his version a spin.
Yeah.
And I'll either love it or hate it or its merit, since I don't have the same, super fondness. I didn't hate it. I just was out the house.
I know. So true.
So when Raymond moved out of his family home and into an apartment, Blanche started rushing out of her house at pre-dawn hours because she had to make sure Raymond had his breakfast.
I just see her dressed up like Henrietta Chicken.
Yeah.
Just
yeah, pretty much.
And her little chicken feet to get to him.
And she got a whole husband and 2 children at home, and she wanted to go get this motherfucker some breakfast.
Right.
Because the poor thing is just so helpless on his own. He's just a man.
Yeah.
He doesn't know how.
Exactly. He needs a friend.
Blanche is spending all of her spare time running errands and food over to Raymond Reed is not lost on James Napoleon Taylor. He's sober.
Yeah.
He can see clearly now the whiskey's gone.
Now the gin is gone.
Right? I can see all Blanches are in my way. That's where he's at. So he's not drink-addled anymore.
Yeah.
He sees what...
sober man.
Even when he was drink-addled, he saw it. But, but I feel like it's
But
more...
he would drink his sorrows away.
Right, and I think it's even more glaring now that he's not drink-addled. In the months after Raymond's divorce was final, it was clear to everybody at the Kroger that Raymond and Blanche were finally having the affair
Oh.
that she had been striving for all these.
Right.
Finally, trap him.
Da 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 da. Just in slow motion across the curve. Da 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 da.
I know, right? Jumping right onto the
Da, da, da,
bed.
da, 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 da. Or should it be Ravel's Bolero, like 10?
Oh, yeah, it could be.
Just something ridiculous and middle aged.
Like, yeah, like she wins. She got Raymond. Okay, you win, girl. Like nobody else was clocking for that but you. But
So now to get utterly fuck drunk.
Right.
Step 2.
It's September of 1973, 4 years after James had his heart attack, and James started coming down with a very nasty flu.
Oh no.
He had a sore throat, swollen glands, and the worst case of diarrhea known to man.
Oh, poor thing.
James went to the doctor when he started having symptoms. He said that it was a flu that he couldn't explain.
Yeah.
Because he's, okay, diarrhea, sore throat.
Yeah.
You can get all of those with the flu.
You're right. It mimics so much.
But that wouldn't explain why he was getting these painful blisters
Ooh.
on his hands and feet.
Ooh. Oh, that's awful.
And why his hair was coming out in hanks. And why his face was swollen like he's been drinking, but he hasn't had a drop in years.
Yeah.
But the flu.
Yeah.
There was even blood in his urine and his stool.
Ooh.
The doctors were running tests, and that means the doctor bills are running up.
Mm-hmm.
And James is starting to worry about how these medical bills
Yeah.
are going to affect him. They don't make a lot of money.
Yeah.
James does. Blanche holds that family down working at the Kroger.
Yeah.
James gets furniture building jobs where he gets them. But let's be real, they're being supported on a head cashier salary.
Yeah.
So he's not going to make the extra money
Yeah.
to pay these bills.
Yeah.
So that is a worry. Blanche did her best to comfort James in a rare moment of kindness from Blanche.
Right?
She's mopping his brow, making him soups. Never eat soup from this woman.
Oh my God. Yeah.
And there are rare moments of tenderness in a marriage that had long since been sour.
Mm-hmm.
They were married a total of 21 years.
Wow.
And I'd say that last 10 to 15 were the worst.
Mm.
Only the first 10 were good.
Yeah.
Maybe even the first 5.
Wow.
But by the halfway point,
yeah.
it was a hot
They've
fucking
been
mess.
unhappy for a very long time.
Yeah. But James did appreciate, the gestures, mopping the brow, yada, yada, yada. It made him feel emotionally better,
Yeah.
even though his body felt like hell.
Yeah.
Blisters popping on your hands and you don't know why.
Ugh. That's awful.
October 2nd, 1973. James is still feeling awful after a little under 2 weeks with the flu.
Mm-hmm.
Not only does he feel like shit, but it's incredibly hard to shake.
Mm.
A flu that lasts 2 weeks?
Yeah.
That's
unusual.
He's like, am I in virus territory?
Yeah. My patient 0?
They're like, what is this?
Is this the rest of my life?
So he felt horrible. And he went to the kitchen. Look, he's just moving around.
Mm-hmm.
He's slow and just feeling awful. And in the kitchen, Blanche talks him into eating some ice cream while her and 14-year-old Cindy are eating dinner.
Mm-hmm.
He just came out to have dinner with the family.
Yeah.
Just watch him. He's got no appetite. She's
Yeah.
like, come on, James. Have some ice cream.
Mm.
Just something in your belly.
Yeah.
Don't take food from this one.
Right?
Cindy is 14. Vanessa is 20, and so she has since moved out. Within an hour of eating the ice cream, James was in bed, and he was in so much pain. It was like another living creature was inside of his body.
Oh, my God.
And trying to tear him apart to work its way out.
Oh my God.
Then he sat bolt right up in bed. His eyes were big like his mom's. He doesn't have pupils, just big blue marbles in his head.
Yeah.
His eyes are so big. And then he starts to projectile vomit so hard that it flew across the room and hit the walls and the ceiling.
Oh my God.
Like Exorcist shit.
Right? Poor man.
Projectile vomit is real.
Yeah.
Just like in The Exorcist. You just don't need demons to make it happen.
True.
Then his eyes went glassy before the stomach cramps started up again. Blanche told Cindy that she would call the doctor for James in the morning, put Cindy to bed, and then made up the couch for her to sleep on that night. He's so clammy and sweaty and writhing around. Nobody could sleep in that bed with him.
Yeah.
For most of the night, Blanche lay awake listening to James as he screamed, wailed, and moaned.
Oh my God, stone cold psycho.
As Blanche lay awake, she probably heard the exact moment when the arsenic had boiled off of James's inner stomach and bowels.
Ooh.
She heard it when he sat up in bed, screaming and spraying out more rounds of projectile vomit to decorate the walls. She heard his groaning as his bowels erupted with thin, watery stools. She listened and tried to get comfortable on the sofa while James was convulsing in the bedroom, fully awake and not understanding what was happening to him or why he was about to die. After vomiting, Blanche fluffed her pillow as James's stomach expanded and collapsed. Imagine like when you see the starving Ethiopian kids with the distended belly and his abdomen just swells like that.
Yeah.
But then it deflates down almost to like his cavernous. Like, the best way I could describe it in bodybuilding terms, like he did a vacuum pose.
Yeah.
And sucked in its stomach till it's pressing your spine.
Yeah.
But in a horrible way.
Yeah.
When bodybuilders do it, it's kind of cool.
Yeah.
So as his stomach expanded and collapsed, then bowed as the arsenic began turning his innards into mush.
Ew.
As his fluids seeped out of his damaged organs into the now open body cavity. That's expanding as his stomach and his bowels rupturing because of the arsenic.
Yeah.
And now all that juice, horrible, horrible bile, is seeping into the rest of his body cavity. James would have been fully aware of his demise for at least the first hour. Minimum. And if there is a God, he lost consciousness as another wave of convulsions finished off his nervous and lymphatic systems. Finally, the oxygen-bearing cells in his body started to collapse, and James would start to suffocate from within. Then, his face turned a deep purple, and his muscles went flaccid because they could no longer convert sugar into energy.
Wow.
In the last hour of his death, James began to slip into hallucinations. It would take a little over 2 hours for James Napoleon Taylor to die. And as he took his last breaths, Blanche finally drifted off to sleep.
Bitch.
And that is where I will leave you until we pick up next week with the continuing saga of Blanch Taylor Moore.
Ring-a-ding, subscribe, comment.
Yes, like, comment, subscribe, do all of the things, feed the algorithm. And on that note, I have been Samara.
And I've been Jeannie.
And we'll see you next week on another episode of Talk Deadly to Me. Ba-da-ba-ba-da-ba.